Could I have the Te Pataka o Rakaihautu Banks Peninsula Community Board, please?
I promise you we won't go over time. But it is exciting to see programs like that. All good things take some time.
Depends whether or not I can work out how the computer works, Pam. But
might need a bit of help.
We're all good.
We're right? We're right. So welcome Tyrone here with me again this morning. We are lacking in staff. Our staff are either on holiday or sick, or we're down a couple of support staff as well. So Tyrone and I are on our own, and we've got Andrea over there behind us who will be working with the government, with the partnership document. So could I just talk about first?
You want me to click?
Yeah, the first one.
Oh,
yes,
yep.
Click. Yes. So this is about community partnerships, and on Banks Peninsula we've got about 15 reserve management committees plus many other committees that we work with. So these committees work in partnership with the council rangers and park staff across the whole of Banks Peninsula, whether it's for checking for walking tracks, repairing wharves, planting trees, maintaining the head to walkway, or working with cemetery groups. Our council staff are always keen to work alongside us, and they always say this is what a ranger's work is all about. So recently, this is my community, the Pigeon Bay community, rolled up their sleeves and raked the camping ground area following some grass seeding. And with a good drop of rain, the grass dropped. So there we are, we're doing our job there over in the camping ground right by the sea and having a cup of tea together. And Paul Devlin was with us on that day. So the next one is about seaplanes. These are not unfamiliar on our waterways on our harbours of Banks Peninsula. In times past, we had seaplanes. But Peninsula Air Limited updated the board on its proposal to construct a waterdrome for seaplanes in Littleton Harbour and its application to the CAA, Civil Aviation Authority, New Zealand, for permission for this project. We as a board made a submission to that for permission and noting that we, the board, is unable to endorse the proposal without further information on the impact. So the issue is that they need to go to CAA first before they do any further work. So if the CAA turns it down, well, it'll be flat in the water and then there'll be no further consents required.
Oh, it won't be in the water. Oh, sorry.
So our community is finding it difficult to accept that situation. And so we're looking the community have been looking for further information. So we look for opportunities where we might have input to it. So we encourage our local residents to become involved in that and give input on any future consultations so that they have a real support or whether against it, so down the track. So we're waiting for that to happen, but the community is really concerned.
Well, it's a pretty hot topic in the community, both for and against. I think that, there's a little bit of NIMBYism where, people would be concerned about it. Of course, naturally, if a plane started landing in their backyard, but on the other side, people say, "Oh, that's quite exciting." I remember when the seaplanes used to come and land in Littleton Harbour when I was a kid, and it was a fabulous thing. So, there are both sides of the argument, but I think it's just really important there is a risk that it could all just happen without any community input, and I think that's what people are really concerned about. And Pam's going to talk a little bit more about social licence on Banks Peninsula a little bit later, but I think it's one of those things where we could risk just that social licence to operate, or where that social licence for things to happen might be compromised if all of a sudden planes turned up on Littleton Harbour without people really having the chance to go, "Hey, hang on a second. Did anybody ask us if we were cool about this?" So it's interesting. We're really interested to see how the process is gonna pan out. It's obviously an ECAN thing more than anything, I think the community would really, really love to have an opportunity to be involved at any step of the way.
So the next exciting thing is light shows seem to be a thing of interest, particular interest. So this was particularly stunning, and the board approved a small amount of funding to Lumiere de Akaroa, a free light and installation festival in the Garnatane. Now, I'm not sure whether you're aware of the Garnatane and its importance in the centre of town. It's a novel ecosystem, But this was an amazing event that we had. They thought they were going to get 200 or 300 people. They had 1,500 people. It was well behaved, well organised. Food ran out, of course. But it just lit up some of those majestic 140-year-old trees. You can see that there. And also that memorial there was a memorial put in following a visit by the previous Governor General, Jerry Mataparai, and he planted he put that plaque in at the centenary of Passchendaele. And there are several other tree plantings. There's a walnut tree around there for the arrival of the Comte de Paris, and then there's a lone Gallipoli pine tree there as well. So it was an amazing evening, and we just congratulate the organisations on this very successful event. And there were people from the city as well. It was just amazing. Little groups took up their lighting stations and they produced, and it was amazing. Could we move to the next one that talks about something that's a bit more of a challenge for us at the moment? And as you're aware, the cruise ship season continues to roll on. We've just completed this last one. And I know that we've said it many times before, but it's vital to manage the impact of 200,000 plus cruise ship visitors in Akaroa and prepare for their return to Littleton, as well as many other international and regional visitors that come to Akaroa. Akaroa has become a destination point, particularly around its wildlife values and swimming with the dolphins and things. So the board has been advocating strongly for some time for the development of a destination management strategy for Banks Peninsula so that Littleton and Akaroa can be sustainable with tourist destinations, where visitors add value to the community. Both visitors and residents have positive experiences. So look, we thank the Cruise Ship Action Group, which is a staff group within the City Council, Environment Canterbury, and other teams that are involved in the management of the cruise ship season, and that we have really improved a number of issues around there about traffic management and a whole range of other things as well in Akaroa and Little River. But there is ongoing concern that we've still got one more season to go with the huge numbers, but we will continue to have cruise ships and visitors coming back from Littleton to Akaroa. But there's no indication that there's a strategy in the pipeline. So, I mean, if we haven't got a strategy, we can't bring our communities with us. And at the moment, we're losing the social licence in Akaroa to have tourists in our town. So we are looking for a way of helping ourselves and helping our communities and making sure that we have the infrastructure in place to deal with with the tourism industry. So we're looking for something to help us along the way. So we have had discussions this morning, earlier discussions, and it is a major issue, and we have something that we would like to add to it as a way to resolve that matter. So are there any questions about our presentation this morning?
Sorry, can I, Madam Chair, if I just may, just very quickly, sorry, Pam. So I guess the real concern that we have as a community is, we're not the only ward that gets a whole lot of visitors, absolutely. We get a lot of visitors, Councillor Swiggs will be familiar with having a lot of visitors in his ward, but we also have infrastructure, so cruise ship, we have ports, we have harbours, for arrivals that, the sort of thing that Councillor Kewen will be familiar with the airport in his ward. So we've got those two things going on, but we don't really feel that things are joined up, that we don't really feel that there's accountability for managing all of these visitors. There are lots of different groups that each have a role, but it's how they all come together and where the accountability sits is probably a key concern. Sorry, Pam.
That's all right. That's fine. It focus on the operational matters that we need a conductor to work with these issues. Yeah, a conductor to work with some of these issues through.
Yeah, good. Well, I think it's like that one of those cooking programs where I just happen to have prepared a set of resolutions. So perhaps if I could invite Andrew to talk to some amended resolutions, if we could
there is a set of resolutions. Maybe if we could have those up on the screen, it would be useful so that I can refer to them. And this really picks up the comments that Pam and Tyrone have made, and they're comments that reflect concerns that the board have had for a very long time,
Yes.
and actually concerns the communities have had for a very long time as well. In our community board plan, we make reference to a destination management plan for Banks Peninsula. In particular, there are some stresses and strains in Akaroa as a result of the visits of the cruise ships that we really do need to be responding to. Otherwise, as has been said, we will lose the support of the community for the activities that are taking place there. I always talk about the community having stepped up in 2011 to continue to make the cruise industry welcome in Canterbury. I'd like to think that we can continue to say that, but there are some things that need to happen so that that can happen. So there are really three different things that we're looking for here. One is the approach that we've been told is going to happen to destination management on Banks Peninsula, realising that the whole peninsula gets a large number of visitors. Cruise is just a part of that. Akaroa gets a lot of visitors. Lyttelton, of course, is going to be receiving a large number of cruise ship visitors. There's the conversation about the Banks Peninsula Geopark, which we've discussed at this table before, that plays into that space as well as other initiatives like those that we'll be hearing from the Rod Donald Banks Peninsula Trust, and there are other groups working on the peninsula around recreation and visitor attraction and so on. So there is a need for a coordinated approach. The board had understood from a couple of presentations from Christchurch NZ that this was on their radar, but we need some certainty that this work is going to happen, that it is actually going to be led, that the scope of it is what we expect. We need to know what's either happening now or what's planned to happen and when. So that really relates to the 2A and B. We've got cruise moving largely from Akaroa to Lyttelton when the Lyttelton cruise berth is finished in October 2020. That project remains on target, and it's expected and anticipated at that time that a large volume of the cruise vessels currently going to Akaroa will then go to Lyttelton. That means that there are two effects. The first of which is the number of visitors to Akaroa will drop significantly. If we want to be good custodians of the local economy in Akaroa, there's going to be some work need to be done there around sustainability of the economy. And obviously there are some things need to happen in Lyttelton to make sure that we're ready for cruise so that we don't see the same problems around infrastructure, toilets would be a good example, occurring in Lyttelton that we're currently dealing with in Akaroa. So there's some need for work to be done at both ends if this is going to be a success.
You're moving that.
I am indeed, yep. And then item 3 really relates to the need for a coordinated approach to the next season in Akaroa and to the moving of a large amount of cruise from Akaroa to Lyttelton. There's a lot of work goes on in different units of council. There's work goes on in Christchurch NZ, there's work goes on in Environment Canterbury, and a little bit like we said about Naval Point when there was a quite scattered approach to that project, as soon as we put a project manager in place, we saw success, things joined together, and we actually came up with a proper proposal that was supported by the community. Our belief as a board is that this requires the same approach. It needs a project manager or somebody in a coordinating role, somebody conducting this orchestra, not all of which is in our control at the moment. So that's the reason for the request in 3. There's some work been done already that's referred to in 4 that may actually inform this. So a bit of a review of that work, and this was a suggestion that came from staff, may actually inform some of the work that needs to be done in 1, 2 and 3, but realising that 1, 2 and 3 are urgent. Yeah. So I'm happy to move what's up here.
Do I have a seconder for that? Phil. So is there any discussion on that? Oh, so, yeah, well, Sarah was first and then Tim, then down.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I've just got a question on 3 and 4, I guess, especially around sort of council priorities generally. I completely recognise then that your board is very keen to have that happen. Probably each of the board areas have similar things, especially in the master plan areas that, you know, need reviewing or looking at, those kind of things. And it's difficult to ask for something in one specific area without looking at it holistically. And I'm just not sure that indicating now that we want specific resource to go into this one thing when it should be being covered already.
It doesn't
by
say
staffing.
That. It doesn't say that. It asks for the need whether there's a need for a specific project management resource to coordinate.
I know,
matters.
but if we were going to look at that, we'd look across maybe some other areas that might need something similar to. Yeah, I know that the organisation is stretched, and having to write a report on the need for an extra staff member in one area.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it
That's
doesn't.
just that kind of how the
I
wording
know
reads.
that might be how it's being worded. So
Yeah,
if we could
that's
play
it.
with the wording, because the intention is to actually deliver something
Some more
concrete,
coordination, absolutely.
yeah, to the community board so that they can consider what's required. And the resource might be sitting within Christchurch NZ.
Absolutely.
It may not be sitting within council. So but there are a number of players, as Andrew has said, that need to be brought together. But I don't know if you can just play with the wording and just see
I'm
if you
certainly
can.
happy to change the
Well,
wording.
can you
and if
just do that offline?
Maybe,
Because I'm
yeah.
worried about time now. Dion and Tim.
No, mine was covered now.
Yeah, Tim.
Totally understand where you're coming from, because it's not the only area that needs a conductor, in my opinion. So I totally understand where you're coming from. But Carleen, to question to you, with this request, with the would there be any financial implications, and would there? What about the pressures on staff? I mean,
of a project resource? Well, it will just really depend on whether it's an additional person or whether it's somebody who's already involved that takes over the role of project managing it, and what does that mean? Is it really a coordination role? The alternative might be that actually Christchurch NZ is the best person to look at coordinating the whole lot, including the work within the organisation, but we just have to look at that and what the work entails.
but once we approve it, that's really it's whether it's looked at internally or not, it's been approved. Therefore, it's got to go forward.
Yeah, well, it really is about how we would deliver on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, would that detract from any other areas needing the same things? Well, yeah.
All right, so we've got request staff to provide advice to the board as soon as possible on what is required to coordinate matters across council teams and other agencies relating to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it might be that they can just simply provide the advice that they've already been working on. It may well be that they can advise what is required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the last paragraph, I've just changed review to consider, because we're not actually asking for a full review.
Yeah.
We're just asking for them to have a look at those documents and see how that informs the work that needs to be done. And
Yeah.
again, it doesn't actually necessarily need to be a report. It could be provide advice to the community board, or maybe that does require a report. I just wouldn't want it to be slowed up because we're
Yeah.
using the word report.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you got, is that okay, John? Yep. Okay, so that's been moved and seconded. So is there any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no.